Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement. Good day, viewers, and welcome to the program, Agriculture on the Move. My name, Phillip Sydney, your host. The Ministry of Agriculture over the years have been coordinating a number of commodity projects, and that includes roots and tubers. And when I say roots and tubers, I'm talking about yams, dashing, pannier, sweet potato. Included is cassava. And today we will be discussing the processing of sweet cassava, and there are many varieties. Just before me, you'll see a number of what derivatives from sweet cassava. So today, I have a panel with me of 3 persons where we'll be dissecting and discussing the production and processing of cassava. To my immediate right, I have Berthia Laurent, who is representing Bros Bakery from VA4. I have Mr. Marnus Cherry, who is the National Coordinator for the Cassava Project here in Saint Lucia in the Ministry of Agriculture. And of course, Sylvia Cadasse, my good friend, who represents Mannee's Bakery, of course, in the Marisil, Corinth area. Welcome to you all.
Yeah,
and of course, I know you're busy persons, especially the bakers, you're business people. I'm happy that you're taking time off to be here. I will start with you, Marnus, to give us the genesis of the project. How did this started, and what was the objective behind the project?
Well, the project is, and as you all know, it's called Sustainable Approaches to Agro-Processing and Value Chain Development of Roots and Tuber Caribbean, and it's a regional project. The aim of the project is to help link farmers, primary processors, secondary processors, and consumers in the form of a value chain. And the crop that was selected, of course, out of the root and tubers is the sweet cassava crop. FAO has selected Saint Lucia as one of the countries because we have a lot of producers here, the farmers who have a lot of experience, years of experience, decades of experience growing cassava. And of course, they also know that we have facilities and competent personnel or competent businesses like the bakeries that would help to provide a sustainable market for the processing of cassava, that is the products or the derivatives of sweet cassava.
Okay, so when did this project begin?
This project began this year, that is January this year, 2018. However, we started off preparing since last year because last year was the ending of the product and market development project. And so far, I think we've done a lot of work. We've started the coordination of farmers. We've started discussing with the bakeries as to what the market options will be, what the needs and the gaps are, and so on.
Okay. So that brings us, of course, to the end of or what derived from the project are the bakeries. Okay?
Yes.
So with me here, of course, is Miss Berthia Laurent from VA4. When did you hear about this project, and what gave you that impetus to get into the project?
Okay, I received a call from Marnus indicating his interest in conducting a workshop at our bakery. And of course, he told me of the whole cassava project. And we discussed, we looked at it, and we accepted, not knowing what was in it for us or what the whole thing is about. But we took on the initiative, we invited them in, and they came in. It was sometime in November 2017. And of course, with our bakers, along with some of the other stakeholders, they held this workshop at the bakery. And that's how it started for us.
Okay. So what about you, Sylvia?
We started on a totally different note. In 2015, we were approached by FAO, and then they wanted to do a pilot project and they asked us whether we would come on board. So they brought in a master baker from Trinidad, and they came in and we did some testing, some baking, and then we brought it down to the Ministry of on the waterfront and gave customers, people passing by, to taste it. And from then we began to work with the Ministry of Agriculture. After 2015, in 16 it practically died, and then it would seem it was revived in 2017, but we started in 2015.
Where are you at now? You started off and with what commodities?
Well, we started off with plain, just the cassava bread, which is 60% white flour, 40% cassava mash, and that is what we started off with. What we found was that we started off with no assistance, and because we didn't have any marketing budget, as you know, we found that the plain cassava bread didn't work. Just before the master baker left, when he came in 2015, he slipped us the recipe for what we call cassava cinnamon coconut bread. And that is what helped us and made people realize that we were making something to do with cassava. The plain bread did not take off.
Why?
I think for lots of reasons. I personally believe, that is my belief, that the way we began was not, it was really not a well thought of process. We needed to have, in my opinion, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Trade, and Ministry of Health. And without those three people on board with us, this could not work. Number one, can I say that mash, we are buying mash, and mash must be stored in a freezer. Because we get mash now, we get mash from Pralle to Corinth. That's a long distance. So we needed to have some way to store the mash. And I think because people were not aware of the benefits of cassava, really aware, that this too made it almost impossible. The cassava cinnamon seemed to work because it's sweet, it has coconut, it has raisins, it has cinnamon, all the things that people like. The regular bread looks like a plain bread. Why should I pay more for that? I don't know what it is. I don't know what the benefits are when I can buy my $2 bread. So, unless this is a properly coordinated process, this is not going to go very far.
So you were looking at what proper advertisements,
sensitizing the public, yes. And a constant advertisement. It has to go on for at least 6 months of intense marketing, advertisement, and letting people know that the benefits of the plain cassava bread. And so, when there's advertisement, there's all of those things together, people will understand and maybe want to buy.
So, Marnus, where is it now, based on what Ms. Cadasse is saying, in terms of the funding of advertisements and stuff like that, do you think that FAO, or together with the ministry and the other stakeholders, like the Ministry of Health, can be brought on board, at least to tell people the health benefits of the product? Well,
yes, definitely. The thing is about this project too, the way it is funded is different from other projects. The project is on the Technical Cooperation Program, and there is no amount of money allocated for Saint Lucia. But of course, FAO has said that, look, we can coordinate the activity here. For example, with, let's say, a communication consultant, a letter of agreement can be worked out through this consultant and FAO, so that they're able to fund advertisements and other media activities promoting the cassava crop. So, because it's a regional project, that is the approach that FAO is taking. But of course, yes, there is funding. For example, presently, there is a dialogue between the Bureau of Standards and FAO with regards to a letter of agreement to do basic food safety training to the primary processors.
Okay, so when that project was conceptualized, you all didn't think of bringing in, or did you all bring in Ministry of Commerce, the Ministry of Health on board, so that you all can collaborate, so that, you know, that effort can be an effort of a three-pronged approach?
Well, yes, definitely. We have an active committee in place, and on this committee we have Ministry of Commerce, we have Ministry of Health represented, we have the Bureau of Standards, the bakeries, and the mass suppliers and other private sector stakeholders. Everybody is on board. When we meet, we are supposed to be making these decisions and then allocating persons responsible to take up certain activities and duties on the project. So the ministries are informed, but I believe we need to find a strategic way of getting more of that institutional support from them, especially Ministry of Health.
Okay, we are due for our first break. We'll continue in a while. You're watching Agriculture on the Move. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon.
What's in the food you're eating? Do you really even know? All the chemicals and hormones used to accelerate their growth. All the artificial flavoring, sweeteners and colors too. We consume and we don't spare a thought for the damage that they'll do. No, think about the children. Think about the children. How will we save them? Chemicals and GMOs are not the solution. Use organic and join.
Excessive agrochemical use, additives and genetically modified foods are harmful to health and the environment. Join the good food revolution. Grow, buy and consume organic. A message from Rise Saint Lucia and the Ministry of Sustainable Development with funding from the GEF Small Grants Program, UNDP.
The good food revolution.
Welcome back to the program, Agriculture on the Move. We're talking cassava bread, we're talking cassava cakes, we're talking a number of things that can be derived from cassava. Mannee's Bakery, tell us a little about the South. How are your customers? I'm sorry. How brewers are you sensitizing your customers? Are they aware that you're producing cassava bread, and how are your sales going?
Okay. Well, the public is aware. Our customers are aware. What we did, we put up a sign notifying them that we now have available cassava blended bread. So by just walking in the bakery to get your bread, you see the sign, they would ask, what is this and whatever. So that created an awareness to the public. Of course, when it was available, we sold it, they tried it, and persons came back and they would say, you know what, you all call this cassava bread, but it has no cassava. It tastes like regular bread. So then I realized, okay, we have an issue here, because what is happening, persons expect the very same foreign taste, that kind of, you know, that because cassava is foreign to us in Saint Lucia. So it's like, I am eating that thing. This thing is so smooth. And then you're telling me, excuse me, that it's cassava blended bread. And we had to explain, no, it's not the same as the foreign. It's a different cassava. It's sweet cassava. And we're using the mash, you know, and this, of course, we had to sell to the public and get them to accept. And of course, I got some posters from Mannus when we had the Independence exhibition, and that helped. So I put that in the bakery, and when they come, I tell them about the cassava, and they would say, me, once they hear cassava, I don't want this, I'm not going to try it. Try it, it's nice. I would alert them to the poster, and persons would read and say, okay, let me try a packet. And then, by doing this, persons start coming and asking for the cassava. To date, we have persons coming to the bakery asking for cassava, and sometimes we have none, because we are still operating on a small scale. So we don't bake it every day, right? You will not get on like Thursday, Friday, we don't. We normally bake Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, but we have persons coming for it. It's like every day they come for it. One of the good things too, we have like the nurses and doctors. Apparently they know the value of cassava. So we have a particular doctor, I don't know if I should mention her name, but that's Dr. Louise, and she comes looking for that. And other persons who know the value of cassava, and even those who just come to the bakery and they taste it, they come. So it is making its way slowly, but I think it will eventually get out there by person sharing. I think one of the things we probably need to do is have a tasting or some kind of thing. I have thought of it, but I have not developed a strategy as to how we're going to do that, right? Because we don't just serve the area, just the bakery. We have outlets, and we have vehicles going out too. We want to get our bread out on the road. All of this we're thinking of, because this would serve as, promotion for the product and even to say expanding the market. But it takes a bit of work. Like Miss Cadasse said, the challenge of getting the mash, and you have to freeze it. Freezer is not a problem for us because we have freezers at the place. We do other things that requires the use of a freezer, so we have that space. The problem is buying the cassava and, of course, trying to determine the price of the products, because the bread is more expensive than regular bread. And not many of our people are willing to pay more unless they know the health benefits. That is what has worked for the cassava bread. Knowing that it is beneficial to your health, persons say, okay, let me have it instead. All right?
We started, my experience and of the whole cassava project is slightly different to hers.
Okay.
I have thought that the ministry has started this wrong. They've put the end before the beginning. And I think that what should have been done was that all the benefits and the products and the end result should have been highlighted before we even went into the making of cassava bread, period. Now, part of the reason Mannee's went into cassava, we find we have a different experience in the north. In the north, we have bakeries at practically every corner. And so the sale of white bread has shrunk. So we needed something, and of course your expenses remain the same. So we needed something to actually augment our sales. And we thought that this would be perfect. But what we discovered, we've had taste testings. But taste testings comes at a cost. I don't know, none of us at Mannee's or bakery know, we don't know about what to do and so we had to hire Merchandising Plus to do our taste testing for us. It comes at a cost. Part of my disagreement with Ministry of Agriculture is that when Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Health, Ministry of Trade, they begin, commerce, trade, whatever, they begin their projects, but nobody attaches to those projects the business side of it. Right. Because you can say what you want, you can produce all you want, you can give people benefits. If it doesn't come and it is not profitable to the business, you might as well close, forget about it. My issue, I sit on the cassava committee, and my issue with the committee is that we seem to be going to meetings, doing the usual blah, 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 but it is not, the rate at which we are progressing seems to be very slow. Trade has a marketing specialist. We need to be able to use that marketing specialist, but one marketing specialist is not enough. When she's away, like she was a couple months ago, she was away for a few months. What happens? So we need to have sustained advertisements, sustained, and I'm putting pressure in inverted commas, we need sustained whatever, whether it's marketing, whether it's product development. And another thing, product development takes time and money. Who's picking up the tab? And that is why I'm saying, if FAO were to consult before they even began, consult with us. You know who you targeting? You are targeting the bakeries to make a product to sell to the customer. Then you include the bakeries in the planning, so that the planning, I mean, all planning, it doesn't go as planned. But if they become more inclusive, then certain aspects of business that we can talk about, and so it becomes a more holistic, the overused word, approach to any project.
I totally agree with you. In fact, so Marnus, based on that discussion, and I see where it's going, because we're talking about cost of production. From the farmer's point of view, do you have a cost of production from the farmer up to the mash for the bakeries, so that they can say, okay, I can sell it to the bakeries at X. The bakeries then can take it and say, okay, I can make the commodities and sell it at Y, so there's a profit at. So everybody is happy. So where is that?
May I interject?
Yes.
My experience with the farmers, when we first began, we called a few farmers. The thing was, we were beginning. When I said where we were located, we are located at Corinth. I called a farmer somewhere in Cul-de-sac. He says, I'm not coming there. So then I said to him, I said, but let's have a discussion, because you don't have to come there. You can drop, we have outlets in town. You can, but the first, and can you blame the farmer? No, how am I getting my money, and at what cost is it to me? So if I'm coming, why should I come from Cul-de-sac right to Mannee, and I'm still having the same issue from Poile? Jeanette is coming from Poile. She doesn't have her own transport. She's hiring somebody to bring her. So it means that when she sells the mash to me, it's at a higher cost.
Yes.
Who do I pass on? Can I get? I'm selling it for $4. If she's selling to me at $2.50 or $3 a pound, can I get $6 for that?
Hold that point. We'll do for another break. We'll do for another break. Stay tuned.
Everyone is at risk for getting a foodborne illness. While most foodborne illness cases are mild and go unreported, long-term health complications and even death can occur from a foodborne illness. Foodborne illnesses are caused by contamination of food at any stage of preparation. If you are a food handler involved in home-based food production, meat, fish, chicken, or a bake shop, as a food vendor, how you prepare food can put your customers at risk. Do you know the risks and how to avoid them? The Saint Lucia Bureau of Standards can help you.
For more information, contact the Saint Lucia Bureau of Standards at 456-0546 or email slbs@candw.lc or visit the website at www.slbs.org.lc. Saint Lucia Bureau of Standards, making quality and standards our way of life.
Welcome back. Marnus, I think right now the thing falls in your lap now, you know. You as the FAO rep here, and of course representing the Ministry of Agriculture, the little bottlenecks. How are you going to approach it?
Well, if regards to cost of production, we have cost of production for the farmer, for the mass suppliers, but however, we haven't really agreed. We haven't really taken this cost and agreed among all the stakeholders. As for example, for that of cassava, we're looking at, let's say, 27 cents a pound. Sorry, it takes 27 cents to produce a pound of cassava, but however, the farmers themselves believe that, you know, it is different, it has to be higher and so on. So there need to be more discussions based on the cost of productions there. I believe, and not just me, ICA also believes that if we can get consumers to buy the bread more often, to buy larger quantities of the bread, then the farmers would be able to get their crops at, let's say, 75 cents
But how is that possible?
a pound. And again, what we've discussed is the promotional aspect of it.
Right.
For example, this is an example of promoting the bread. So if more people get to know about the bread, if more people get to know about the health benefits in particular, then more of the bread will sell, and even differentiated products. So for example, ICA is working with another product that is gluten-free. We've had discussions with Massey stores, and they said, look, we cannot even supply our consumers with our gluten intolerant consumers, with bread. So we're looking at a higher value, a higher product, which would give everybody along the value chain a higher cost for their work.
Because you see, the other thing too,
Can I say something?
You were saying,
While the grass is growing, the horse is starving. No matter what, I agree. But if this thing is to take off, if I am to continue, and I speak only for Mannees, if I am to continue and making the plain cassava, I expect to see a more rapid development and marketing strategy.
Yes.
The marketing strategy should have been in place before you even spoke to the farmers. Because admittedly, and we had, from what I understand, the farmers are asking, why should they plant 5-6 acres of cassava to sell once a year or twice a year? It makes no sense. I'm trying to find a word. There should be the need to buy or the want to buy.
It's market driven.
Should have been created.
Demand and supply.
Demand and supply.
Yes.
Once there is a demand, we will supply. But you don't supply and then demand.
Exactly.
You demand and then supply. Okay. And that is why I'm saying that this is skewed.
Yeah.
Had the demand been created, then we could have been, I wouldn't even come here because there would be no need.
No need to come here.
Then no need to come here.
True,
I think that we have to go back, as they say, to the drawing board.
Yeah.
We will persevere as much as we can, because what FAO and Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Health and Ministry of Commerce doesn't understand is that all the experimenting has come from us. It comes at a cost.
Yes.
We are living in especially in these times where we can barely afford to keep going. You think we can spend money on constant experimenting?
Yeah.
The experimentation, there has to be a budget for that.
But for example, Ms. Cadasse, you all were trained in 2015. You all were trained based on what was experimented already. So, however,
what do you mean by that?
The FAO trained you all, they brought in the master baker to train you all to bake the bread. That was already experimented. They were just passing on that knowledge onto you all so that you all get the institutional support here and you all take up the baking of the processing of the cassava bread into your hands. And the same goes to bros.
Excuse me.
So for example, experimentation, Ms. Cadasse,
that
would be something else.
Listen to me, Marnus.
That was
we're talking the business side.
Yes, the business
and
side.
we are in the business
That's
to
crucial.
make a profit. And no matter how many experiments you bring, if there is not a budget to help me experiment, you know how much, what FAA took from me, this, that, and never...
Well, we'll have to end it here, because we have reached out this.
Oh
One second.
1 second. I want to agree with her. Marketing is key,
right?
Because I think there is a huge market out there. Persons are asking us for whole wheat bread using the cassava. So the market is there. I think the ministry, along with Ministry of Health and Ministry of Commerce, if they just do the marketing aspect,
you're good.
We're good.
Thank you very much, people, for being here. I thank you, Berthia. Thank you, Mr. Marnus. Thank you, Madam Cadasse, for being here. I wish you all success. And of course, Marnus, everything is in your lap now, you know. So take it to the next level. And then let's look at the cost of production. And of course, the cost to the consumer. And let me tell you, consumer, the point is, it's our health. It's a healthy bread. Healthy products are being produced, as you could see. So please go to Mannee's and go to Bros Bakery in V4. I'm doing a bit of advertising, free of charge.
Central Bakery.
And Central Bakery also is doing it. So thank you for viewing. Thank you, NTN, for recording the program. Remember, agriculture is our business, and eat fresh. St. Lucia's best. I'm Phillip Sydney. Goodbye. Thank you very much.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.
Agriculture on the move.
Agricole en mouvement.